Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's Eric Coffin. I'm here at the January Metal Investors Forum in Vancouver. I'm talking to Barb Henderson from Bear Creek Mining. Bear Creek is a company I've followed kind of pretty much forever, actually. It's probably the oldest company on the HRA list now that I think about it. I mean, there's been a couple of profit takes along the way, but it controls one of the world's biggest undeveloped silver resources in Peru. And I think it's important for people, developers, people can sort of wonder like where's the upside, where's the leverage when someone's going through that process. But I think it's important to get across to people just how big the leverage is for Bear Creek when it comes to the silver price. If you're someone that likes silver, there's huge leverage. Right?
Yeah, no, that's entirely true, Eric. So the Corani deposit, which is our flagship property, has about 225 million ounces of silver and 4.5 billion pounds combined lead and zinc. At the metal prices used in our last feasibility study, which was filed in October, the NPV of the Corani deposit was about $400 million, has an IRR of about 15% and a 3.6-year payback period. But for every $1 move in the price of silver, the impact to Corani's NPV is a rather substantial $112 million US. So we only have 103 million shares issued and outstanding. So every $1 move in silver is about $1 in value on our share price. So there is outstanding leverage.
That's pretty big leverage. I mean, so I mean, obviously, it's a silver bug, it's something you're really going to take seriously. Now, of course, any development stage program, you've got financing ahead of you and stuff, but I think the big issue for a lot of investors lately has been permitting, just because it varies so much from one jurisdiction to another. It just seems like so many mining companies have run into really big snags, and in some cases, irreparable snags when it comes to the permitting process. But Corani is actually you're almost done with the permitting, right?
Yeah, we are. There are in Peru 3 key permits you need, and a whole series of sort of what I call secondary permits. The 3 key permits are the environmental permit, the ESIA, which we have already been granted in 2013, and that's still in place. And then we also need to secure a water permit and a construction permit. And we applied for both those 2 outstanding permits late last year. And we expect to receive both of them in Q1 2018. So we've had, in the next couple of months. I mean, there might be some delay just because of Christmas was in the intervening period and that kind of thing, but certainly there tends to be a rather quick turnaround, particularly on the construction permit if everything else is in order, and Bear Creek has all the rest of those pieces in order. So we do expect it to stick to the typical timeline of 3-4 months turnaround. So yeah, and permitting is, as you say, one of the key risks to any mineral project. Part of where we are comforted in Peru is the government is also quite supportive of mining and has been, through its history, I think, or recent history, and particularly in the past year or so, really being vocally supportive of mining and the Corani project in particular. So, permitting risk is being mitigated and dealt with right now. The country risk, I think, is getting less and less and less in Peru. Right. And financing risk is the one, I would say, challenge, I guess, ahead of us, but that's true of any project, and certainly have indications that Corani is going to be a financeable project.
Well, yeah, especially if silver goes up even a few bucks. Your NPV to project cost gets pretty impressive. Yeah. I think just the one other thing that's worth mentioning is that this is a fairly big project. So what would your silver production be? I mean, it's fairly large compared to just about anything, really, I think. Yeah,
it is. It's, as I say, it's one of a handful of really substantially large silver deposits in the world. There are a couple of others that I think would be of the same sort of tenor, but they have tended to be in jurisdictions that are having a little bit more challenge. Right. So at 225 million ounces in reserves alone, and that doesn't take into account the resources, Corani will have a mine life of about 18 years and produce annually, on average over those 18 years, about 8 million ounces of silver and 150 odd million pounds of combined lead and zinc. So that's kind of a sweetener. It offsets the cost of the silver production.
Right.
And we intend to monetize that probably up front to help capitalize the project to start with. There is a particularly high-grade pit that we'll start with that skews a lot of the, well, not a lot, but some of the production in the first 6 years. We will produce about 12 million ounces of silver a year, and that's at really low all-in sustaining cost of just over $1.80 US an ounce.
Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, 12 million ounces a year, there's not many of those around.
No.
So, you know, again, this is one of those projects that, you know, maybe you finish off the permitting and the mental cycle's on your side. Mm-hmm. Somebody may come calling. Although I know you've got some pretty high-end talent in the company, and you're not afraid to push it forward yourself. You'll just keep going with it. We will keep going with it. We recently, our long-term founding CEO Andy Swarthout retired this year, and we brought on board Tony Hawkshaw, who has a history of executing on exactly this kind of project in Peru. So we have the talent on board, and we'll continue to add to it, and we fully intend to put this project into production ourselves, but we recognize that it's you know, it's a substantial target, and it could be a beneficial project to a number of companies. There's not a lot. I mean, the universe of silver companies is not huge. Yeah. And you know, we've certainly signed dance cards with all of them, and they've all taken a look at this project. Hasn't probably made sense in a creative manner to Bear Creek shareholders to this point in time, but you never know. Okay, sounds good. Bear Creek. I mean, like I said, if you're someone that likes silver or wants to have a way to play silver at at an equity level, Bear Creek certainly has one of the best leverage of any company to the silver price. So it's a great way to play it. Thanks for talking with us today, Barb. You're more than welcome. Thank you. And we're done.